and the ceremonial ask of those on the YouTube stream. Can you hear me? Let me know. All right, here we go. Issue 210, call 60. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go through client updates. I imagine we've been working on Altair a bit. A little bit of Altair discussion, just kind of like an update. We're still in pre-release. Then we will talk about Prater, which I believe is live and well. Moving on to research updates, open discussion, spec discussion. And I will let y'all know now that we have, in 1 week time, I believe an hour earlier, I don't know if it's on the calendar yet, we have a merge call where some of us and some of those on the Eth2.0 side will talk. We're going to do those every 2 weeks. It's right before the All Core Dev call, which is on the following day, on the Friday. And then on All Core Devs, I believe there will be, again, some time to talk about kind of merge prioritization and coming work. So let's go ahead and get started, and we can start with Teku this week.
Yeah, hey. So Teku team is primarily working on Altair adoption. So currently versioned data structures are mostly ready. Spec functions are on the way, and we have started to progress API changes. Also, updating to the latest reference tests version on the way, and also support for fork choice tests was implemented. Also, we have started Prater node, and now looking into optimizations to make it run better. That's it.
Excellent. And thank you, Adrian, from your team for pointing out an issue with those. One of the fork choice test vectors, which we have a PR up, and we'll get those fixed soon. Okay. Yeah. Nimbus, please.
Hi. So we released this week v1.0.12. The only difference with 1.0.10 is Prater support, and so we are ready anytime we want to communicate to users that they can try Prater to publicize that release. In the meantime, we are preparing a major release in the future with several performance improvements that we prepared for Prater, but we didn't end up needing them yet. Also, pure management fixes, and we have been testing our slashing database refactoring, and we are quite satisfied with it so far. It's been almost a month of testing now, so we'll be enabling it by default in a future release in the not this week, but maybe next week or 2 weeks from now. And we are also phasing out, like right now, you need to use a -d insecure flag for Nimbus, and we are reworking metrics and REST and RPC APIs so that we use secure API by default. Also, we started to work on Altair patches. We have a guide for a Nimbus Rocket pull out, and we are completing our API so that we are in phase with the Eth2 API spec.
Excellent. Thank you. Prism?
Yeah, hey guys. So we released version 1.3.4 on Monday. It added embedded Genesis state, so the users does not have to sync from the deposit contract, which took a little longer. We added Prater support, and in parallel, we're working on a new slasher designs, which is more efficient. And then we're also working on Eth2 API. And then on the Hartford one end, we're adding data structure and then config. So we're trying to figure out what's the best path forward due to different versions of Beacon State, and then without too much duplication of code. And then we're also looking into the merge effort. So we're looking into how we can best integrate with Catalyst. And we're studying the Lighthouse approach. And yeah, that's it.
Great. Thank you. Lighthouse.
Hey everyone. So as Terrence mentioned, we've been playing around with the merge effort. So we managed to get a merge chain running with Lighthouse and Catalyst and verified our first transaction, which is kind of cool. In the last week, we also released a new release, which had big improvements to block production times. And hopefully that release will have an impact on the number of late blocks that we've been seeing on mainnet. We should be doing an analysis in a week or two once we have enough users updated to the latest release. Prater got launched and our nodes seem to be doing well. So it should be interesting to see some statistics with more stressed nodes. We've been making decent progress on our fork handling logic, and there's a PR which is under review at the moment. We're not yet running the test vectors, but we aim to get to that at some point in the near future. We're also building out the Altair networking changes. We'll also likely have another release in the next week or something to improve the handling time discrepancies between the beacon node and the validator client. That's pretty much from us this week.
Cool. Cool to see the merge with Catalyst going well. And Lodestar.
Hello. So we cut a new release 0.18 a few days ago with Prater support. And just running in Prater, we found a whole host of issues that we can tackle, make things a little more efficient. We're still working on Altair compatible beacon node. We just refactored our state caches to support multiple versions of the beacon state. And we've also still been doing more profiling and inspecting the memory. We just found another memory leak, this time in our remarkable style SSE library. We found that subtrees can retain a reference to the parent tree and then not let the parent tree get garbage collected, which is basically causing us to store a bunch of beacon states in memory. So it was a big win for us. Nice.
And I see on Prater, y'all are proposing, it looks like totally fine. How's the testing going?
So our node was actually killed by overwhelming gossip. So you're actually seeing another client
gotcha.
right now.
All good. Okay. Thank you. Great. That should be everyone. Moving on. For Altair, as you all saw, there was the Alpha 1 release and then a small Alpha 2 release, which cleaned up some naming and primarily fixed the test generators. Barnaby from Rig at the EF did some analysis of the rewards, pen and paper analysis of the rewards, and realized that the invariant that we were going for, summing essentially one base reward maximally given to each validator per epoch, was actually off. It was like 98% of a base reward. So we do have a small refactor that is in the queue coming on that. And there's also been this test generator fix for one specific fork choice. Here, 1 second. One specific fork choice test. And other than that, maybe some other small things coming, but we definitely expect like an Alpha 3 release probably by midweek next week. I put the third bullet point there, planning. I think other than getting these iterative alpha releases out, ball's kind of in engineers' court. So I think we're kind of in that wait to get feedback, see how things are going phase before we put any dates on the calendar. But I would love to hear from y'all, you know, if we can do any deeper planning there. Yeah, okay. So we'll check in async and definitely in 2 weeks, kind of see where we're at in terms of getting features in, and maybe beginning to kind of test fork mechanics and stuff. Is there anything else people want to talk about in Altair? Great. Prater status. Launch seems to have gone well. I think the most eventful item was that Nimbus's doppelganger detection kicked in at Genesis, so hung out doing nothing for a couple of epochs. But it seems like after that and a couple other little issues were ironed out, we're doing well. I just checked, we're at 98 something odd %, which is kind of what we should expect going on here. Are there any other status updates or things we want to discuss about Prater and what happened and what we want to happen?
Yeah, so we kind of said at the beginning that Prater would be for dev teams and maybe some teams like attestant and other staking pools. I expect users, because we maybe the communication wasn't clear enough, but users are asking themselves what's happening with Permont. So we probably need some kind of blog post that we can refer users to, like what's going to happen with Permont. If you want to test on your Raspberry Pi or your PC,
Right.
if you, we need to tell them where they need to go.
Right. So my understanding was Prater, first and foremost, is for developers, and that's why we kind of launched without a public fanfare, but that it would become the de facto testnet now-ish, or at least over the next month or so. And there was also not the desire to keep 2 testnets running in the long term, which would imply a deprecation of Piermont. One fun thing, and we can also go through some stuff with that and take half of it offline and do some load testing and stuff if we have that time or capability. Is my understanding of that incorrect, or does anyone else have different ideas for what we should do with these 2 testnets?
Personally, I'm maybe not yet, but in 2 months with suitable time, I'm in favor of using Permont to test long periods of non-finality, because last time we had such an issue was with Medasha, and that was a long time ago.
Right. So maybe we use Piermont to test a live fork before, so if things do go wrong, it's not the worst thing because we were planning on killing it anyway. And then Prater would be, we'd also fork, but in the 2-3 weeks following. And then after we do that fork mechanic, which would have the most updated clients across the board, we could do a test of non-finality and have no more user guarantees.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That gives us 2 shots of hard forking.
Yeah, I think the only downside there is probably that we're running a bunch of servers, and there's some costs in doing that, but hopefully not too crazy.
Well, there's one more downside, right? Which is if I'm a user and I want to stake on mainnet, where should I test my setup today?
Right. And I would say move to Prater, and maybe we can talk with the ETH staker folks and kind of have them write some stuff and push their community the community to begin doing that.
Sure. I mean, that's I think the major conclusion too.
Yeah. Okay. So let's make sure that in the next like finalized blog post that I write, I will mention that, and I'll also contact the eSticker folks to see if they can get that out in their channels as well.
Right.
But there's still plenty of. That still gives us at least probably a couple of months of Piermont support before full deprecation.
Yeah. But we'll start communicating users to use Prater as well then.
Great.
We should encourage people to exit nicely from Piermont, I guess.
Yeah.
If we want to have a period which is at least stable enough for us to test the fork.
Right. I think we're still probably 80% of the network, right? We as in client teams. And
I don't know. I haven't looked lately, but
Yeah.
it does seem to not finalize for extended periods fairly often.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well
There's 122,000 validators on Piermont, so 20,000 randoms and 100,000 client teams, right? And MEF.
I would
We're
imagine.
still.
Mhm.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that we're fine
Yeah.
if everybody is running their nodes. But I know that we use Piermont for some experiments, and we run it on funny hardware sometimes just to see if we can break our own client.
Right. The periods of non-finality might be stretches where a client team's upgrading or something. But does anyone have any other insight as to why Piermont sometimes doesn't finalize? All right.
Hey, Preston here. Sometimes we at Prismatic end up taking all of our validators offline, and especially we've been having some issues with our Goerli endpoint that have been mostly resolved. So we're trying to keep Piermont stable, but I think that some of the blame for sorry about that.
Oh, not a problem. I just as long as we can account for it, it's totally fine. But okay, cool. So let's client docs over the next couple of weeks update that if you do point to a particular testnet for people to try out, we'll do Prater. I'll get it in a blog post, and we'll reach out to the eSticker folks to get it in their channels as well. Okay. Anything else on Prater? Great. Thank you. I didn't do hardly anything here. I know there was a lot of work for client teams. Afri pitched in, Perry on our side, Proto writing the script. It's a lot of good work. Thanks for getting that out. We'll move on to research updates. Before we get into it, I'll give a little bit of context. Again, we are going to have a call 1 week from today, an hour earlier, I believe, for the merge, and we will continue to have this call fortnightly to give less of a formal call, more of dynamic discussion of points and technical things and planning and strategy. And I just want to say that before I think Mikhail, well, I'll give the floor to you to give a quick update on maybe where spec is and stuff.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Danny. Yeah, regarding the call, before we go to the spec, yeah, I'm about to announce the call like at the beginning of the next week. So look into the merge channel on the Discord. So, okay, regarding the spec, we have a new pull request. I'll just drop it to the chat. It substitutes the previous one, which was the executable we can change proposal. Put into the spec, and this new one has the very similar idea that the quick merge proposal. This is just about to swap in the consensus, making the consensus upgrade on the mainnet. It does not involve any EVM interaction and some other stuff. The main difference from the quick merge proposal is that instead of having an RLP string in the beacon block body that represents the application block, we have the same stuff but represented by SSD structures. This part was derived from the previous pull request from the executable beacon chain. So that's it. Take a look at it. I'm very excited to hear that the implementer teams have started to look into, and that's great.
Cool. And again, we'll have time in a week, but any quick questions for Mikhail today? Okay. If you haven't and you're interested in being involved with some of this work, that PR is kind of the latest and greatest. So you can spend some time familiarizing yourself between now and a week from now, and we can all talk about it more. Other research updates? Dongard, is your proof of custody construction in a place where you'd like to share? Or Vitalik?
I think yesterday we were talking about the possibility of, or exactly how difficult it would be to MPC it. Might want to just
right.
do another couple of days of due diligence first on that to make sure isn't something that works much better on that dimension.
Gotcha. Okay, we can pick that up in a couple weeks. Any other research updates today?
I have another proposal. I'll probably publish that soon for how to limit the number of active validators to either 2 to the 19 or 2 to the 20 or whatever constant we choose, and do it in a way that's just simpler than the existing proposals. So, I'll start. There's a doc, it exists. I'm happy to link it as well.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Anything else people want to share today on research, R&D, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I just linked mine in the Zoom chat.
Excellent. Okay. General spec discussion and anything else people are interested in discussing today.
What's the status on the fork choice changes?
Aditya, can you fill us in?
Yep, we do have a better proposal to fix the attacks that were found last year. I'll be writing up a proposal this week and share it with you guys.
Okay.
Do the current proposed fixes require any changes to state transition kind of core consensus, or is it in that outer fork choice layer only?
It's in the outer fork choice only.
Okay, cool. So then that can be rolled out really at any point rather than having to couple it with a hard fork.
Yep, as we discussed a few calls earlier, that would be independent of the Altair hard fork.
Yep.
And we can roll it out once it's ready. There's no need to rush it.
Mm-hmm. And you can even roll it out kind of over time because 99.9% of the time you agree on things.
Right, unless there's an attack going on.
Correct. So maybe it's also good to do it at a point of coordination. All right, cool. Any questions for Aditya? Okay. I'd like to, I can't remember if we talked about this 2 weeks ago. The ETH Global Hackathon is mid-April to mid-May. And Prater is looking to organize an effort around grabbing like an engineer from most ETH2 teams and hopefully most ETH1 teams to sprint on getting whatever the merge proposal is at that point built, and maybe even launching a testnet and maybe a stretch goal of adding some sharding to that thing as fun. I think that would be a great point in the timeline to kind of vet the current proposals and set the stage for at the end. I know we have a lot going on, but if you have a particular team member who wants to begin familiarizing themselves more deeply with the specs and maybe carving out some time in April to work on it, I think that'd be great. Prater, do you have anything you want to add there?
Right, so right now we're in a place where some of the teams are already seeing some success with the merge efforts. And I think that in the coming weeks, that will only will continue and get the merge to a place where we can run a testnet. But then I think during the hackathon, so from mid-April to mid-May, we have this opportunity to add like a basic form of sharding on top of the merge and try and push it a little bit further. So I think that if we coordinate on setting up this first just a merge testnet, then these additional things like sharding, that we can get to a pretty good set of features that's around at the end of the hackathon.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, I think
that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just want to say that it'd be great to interrupt the merge implementations on the hackathon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess if you read through the merge specs, you probably realize that it's actually quite simple on Eth2 on the beacon chain side. So I imagine we can kind of get our ducks in a row pretty quickly there. And then we can start putting things together more complexly. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about today? Great. Short and sweet. Thank you, everyone. Please send at least one person to this call in the coming week so we can dig into merge stuff more. And we will be talking about some of this on All Core Devs the following day. So having a representative there, I think, would be really valuable as well. Thank you. I will talk to you all soon. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jenny. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.